Hi there, this is Art and Such with my Rainbow Loom tutorial for Saruman from Lord of the Rings to go with the rest of my set. He is done very similarly to the Gandalf Rainbow Loom, but we have some color changes and a couple of small adjustments to make. You can see here I did use gray in the beard in my prototype. I'm just going to use white this time, but I wanted you to see what that looks like, and I'll put both in the thumbnail at the end. And this is also a nice character because you can adjust him to look like any old man with a beard, really. So for this pattern, you're going to need black beads or block bands for the eyes. I'm using a couple of small beads. They're a little larger than seed beads. You're going to need several white bands, a handful of skin tone bands for the hands and the face, and we'll be using our hook, a holding hook, and a C-clip. For our arms, and I have made one already, I'm going to make one with you. You're going to need your loom set the way you see it here, with the middle row out, the side rows even, and a bit of a gap in between, but good support on either side. This is similar to Kate Schultz's skirt design, the way I'm going to do the arms, the sleeves. And for the rest of it, you're going to need your loom in the offset configuration with the middle row just above the other two. So let's start by doing our arm. And you are going to take 2 bands and bring them across the loom with a twist from one side to the other. And now we come down with another 2 bands twisted once on the side, twice on the side, and 3 times. Oh. Okay. We bring it back across and we're gonna close it up all the way around. So take another 2, twist it, put one side of either twist across, and we follow it up back to where we started. This is our first row. For our second row, we're going to take single bands, and we're going to go all the way down without twisting, following the path that we just laid. You can start really anywhere. We just want to make sure we get all the way around the circle, rectangle as it were. Now you want to take your hook and you're going to take off all of the bands except for the top 2 on each set, and we are going to pull them up and over and push down. So I've taken the 4 bottom ones off that top corner, now I have 2. We're going to repeat that on all of the other pegs. If it's easier for you, you can always take 1 or 2 bands at a time and bring them over. Just be careful that you're only getting the bottom ones. So that was our second row. For our third row, we need to make this just a little bit smaller. And I'm going to take the 2 bands at the bottom right, lift them up, and stretch them onto the 2 bands on the bottom left. And now we're working on 7 pegs, and we're going to go around one more time, but only on the pegs that have bands on them at present. And again, we scoop up the bottom ones and we keep only the top two. So on most of these pegs, you'll be taking just 2 bands over. On this bottom one, you have 4 bands to bring to the top. We go around the right side, lift up the bottom 2, push your bands down, and we're going to make this smaller one more time by taking the bands off the bottom left and stretching them across to the bottom right. Now we have 6 pegs and we're going to do 7 rows of singles going across. So here's the first one. I'm going to count out loud, but you can do this at your own pace, pause it or jump ahead, whatever. And we're repeating what we did. We're just taking the bottom bands and leaving the top 2. Okay, our second row on the 6 pegs. And as I've said before, it doesn't really matter which order you go around as long as you catch all of them. So I could really start on any of these pegs and come around back to the beginning. Third row. Remember, we need a total of 7. And you can see the top layer as I put it on. I try and keep it near the top of the loom, and that way it's very easy to see. Here are the bottom ones. They're clearly on the bottom, far below the tops. And then we push them down once we've got them over. Our 4th row. Row 5. Row 6. I love that little twing that they make when they go on there. I wonder if anyone's made a rainbow loom musical instrument just yet. Would be kind of interesting. And last row, push them down one more time. And bottoms over. And we can make our arms to go into our sleeves here. For the arms, you're going to take 2 skin tone bands, wrap them together onto your hook, put them over, twist once, twice. You can do it 3 times if you'd like. Pull onto double skin tone bands, so 2 bands. And now we're going to go on to 2 sets. Oh, now here I should mention, your arm is going to be in your sleeve. Let me grab my new example here. Your arm is going to be in your sleeve. You won't see the insides. So your next bands towards going to the top can be skin tone, can be white, or I'm just going to use some clear bands because it'll help me save some of my wet bands. So color of your choice, take 2 bands, slide it on. And as I said with my Gandalf, you don't want anything super bright because then it's gonna it really will show through. The clear or the white or the skin tone should be fine though. That was 2 sets of double bands. And now we're gonna go on to 3 single bands. Again, color of your choice. This isn't really gonna show up. And 1 white band. Now you don't have to replace the other end of this yet because we're going to take our band and stretch it across from one side of the arm to the other, of the sleeve I should say. And we are going to press the arm through the sleeve. And you can grab it with your hook if you want, or just pinch it out with your hand. And now we take our hook and we collect all the bands on the side. I'm going to do this with my holding hook. We'll keep it together. No, we'll do it on this one. Okay, take the bottom 2. You can hold on to some of your bands if you think they're trying to get loose before you get to them. Take the bands off the second peg, off the third peg, and bring yourself around in a circle. From here, you will take 2 white bands and carefully slide all of the bands that are on your hook onto those 2. You can do them a couple bands at a time, or you can take them all together. Either way is fine. And I will ask you to pause the video and make your second sleeve and come back. Now we're going to go to our 3-row loom, and I'll tell you again, our middle row is just above the other 2. And we're going to take 2 white bands, come down once in the middle, 2 white bands, come down once to the side, and 2 bands once down to the other side. And then we're going to take a whole bunch of double whites, so 2 whites each time, and you are going to go to the bottom of the loom on each of your 3 rows. And here again, it doesn't matter which row you start with or whether you want to fill in 1 row at a time or go across as I'm doing here, as long as you're moving in a downward direction and as long as you get all of the pegs. Now I'm not gonna make feet for this tutorial, but if you really want to have some feet, you can look at my Gandalf design and make some boots like you see there, or just take a couple of bands, wrap them on your hook and put them onto a couple of sets of double bands. Let's put our arms onto the second pegs down on either side. And I'll get you to have just a really quick look here and double check that you have everything in place. Now we're ready for some folding bands. We're just going to take singles, and most of the way down we'll be doing triangles across. We'll start at the third peg down, bring it to the third peg down, bring it over the third in the center, and repeat that on the fourth pegs. On the fifth pegs, can go right to the bottom. Now I didn't add a belt on here. If you are interested in having a belt, I'll refer you again to my Gandalf tutorial. And for that pattern, there is a belt, and that will show you how to do it. Now when you get to the bottom set, we're going to take a second band, make it a little bit thicker here, and have a sort of double triangle happening. And you're going to take the bottom bands and bring them over that bottom peg. If you like the way that my Gandalf looked, you can leave it at that. If you want this bit of a fringe at the side, then you can come along with me to make a side extension. And we're taking a single band, wrapping it twice, and pulling it onto 6 sets of double bands. So take 2 bands, pull your wrapped one over, another 2. This is our third set. Four. 5 and 6, and the bands that are on your hook are going to go onto your 6th peg down, counting from the top. And these last ones that are sticking out at the bottom here, you'll catch them on your hook. This was our first wrapped band, and bring that onto the peg at the very, very bottom. Alright. Now we don't want this popping out of the side, so we're going to take a section out of each chain and bring it on, or a piece out of each chain, and bring it onto the corresponding pegs along the side. And push it down a little as you go. Alright, there's one extension. For the other side, let's do the same thing, a single wrapped twice, and that goes on to another 6 sets of double bands. And 6. Move your loom around, we put this on the 6th peg down. It should line up with the bands on the other side. Get your hook into that little cap band and pull it to the bottom. And once more we grab a piece out of each chain to fit onto the side pegs. I'm trying to get one from sort of the bottom side here. Works a little bit better, although they can be harder to get at. I think my chain got twisted here too, but it's okay. It will still work out fine. Excuse me. Now we're ready to loop up. You can pick a row. I'm going to start with the center. And we're just going to take our bottom 2 bands and go straight to the second peg from the top. And there shouldn't be anything in the way as you're coming up the middle, because you can see the 2 bands here. Those are the only bands that should be sitting under that peg. And we'll have a little more to contend with when we come up the side, but nothing terrible. Stop at that second peg. We'll go back to the bottom of the loom, and you're trying to get the bottom 2 bands and bring them up through the other bands on the bottom peg. Put them on the peg above. Go for the next 2 bottommost bands. And if you have done the extension, you'll see we have a lot of bands, but there again there shouldn't be too much in the way. Mostly just our triangle holding band is the one we have to make sure we get under. And once we're clear of the extension pieces, it should be even smoother sailing. Okay, we've reached the top peg, or the second to top peg on the side. You're going to go into the arm piece and find the bottom 2 diagonal bands there. Bring those up into the center. And then we return to the bottom of the loom on the opposite side, and we scoop up our bottom 2 bands all the way up again. Now I'll tell you again before we start working on the face, and you saw in my prototype here, I didn't make a hat for Saruman. I can't recall ever seeing him in a hat in the movies actually, but if you wanted to have a hat for him, you can check out my Merlin tutorial again, or you can look at Made by Mummy's Wicked Witch hat. There are a number of nice hat tutorials on the internet. You're gonna get the bottom 2 bands from that second to top peg now and bring them up and over. And we can put these top bands, the ones on the top peg, onto a hook and ease the rest of our body off of the loom. Start at the top, use the back of your hook and pop them all off. And right away we'll get working on our beard. Okay, there is our body, and let's start on our beard. Now if you want to have gray on your beard, you can start at the second peg down in the middle and come down between 1 and 3 times with gray, depending how much gray you want to show. In this one I used 3 grays. If you are skipping the grays, then your first three single bands coming from the second peg down are going to be whites. So to reiterate and hopefully clarify, these 3 bands can be gray if you want them to be, or for a fully white beard you can keep them white. On the right side and the left side, we're going to put down 3 bands each, starting from the very top. So this will begin 1 peg up diagonally from where we started our center. And now we are going to come down one more time in the middle, and this one should be white regardless of the color you used for the top part. And we're going to stretch down a band from the side fourth to the middle sixth, and from the side fourth to the middle sixth, and then place one more white down the middle. Okay, and we're going to use another single white to cap off that middle last band. This is your 7th peg down. 1, 2, 3. You can do it tighter or looser depending on how floppy you want the beard to be at the bottom. I'm going to use, you can use single or doubled over holding bands. I'm just going to use single ones, like just a regular standard single. I'm going to stretch it from my 4th peg to my 4th peg, bring it under the center 5th and over the center 3rd, so it forms a diamond. And then I'm going to do a triangle above that from the 3rd to the 3rd over the 3rd, and I'll take a band across the 2nd, like the 2nd pegs on either side, and under the 3rd in the middle. I'm hoping you can see this even with the lighting the way it is here. Now we're gonna get our holding hook, our looming hook, and you're gonna find this single band, bring it through the cap band and up one. Find your top band, which is coming to the right, and bring it back to where it came from, which is the 4th peg on the right side. Repeat that for the left side band, and get the bottom one and bring it up. Loop up. We're going to go straight to the top, or straight to that top peg that we used in the middle. Push back your triangle band when you get there, and loop up on either side. Now just before you put it on the same holding hook as your body, our body will be going on first, so if you have another holding hook you can use that, or you can put your beard onto the back of your holding hook, or you can put it on your looming hook and transfer it, whichever. At any rate, what we're going to do is we're going to take our hook and put it through the bands on each of the top pegs, but stay above your triangle bands. Okay, and there's our beard. Give it a little tug. We will come to the loom now and start on our head and our face. Alright, 2 white bands from the top center to the top right, and 2 from the top center to the top left. Come down once on each of these rows. More white bands handy here. Now we switch to skin tone in the middle and come down once with double bands. And on either side we're going to come down once with double skin tone bands. Okay, we need another set of skin tone on either side. Oh, sorry, those are going to go to the middle, I think. Let me just double check that for you. Oh, or rather, let's put another skin tone in the middle instead, and then we can have everything else as white. That will be a little bit better. Okay, so 2 skin tone in the middle, 1 set on either side, 1 set of white coming down on either side, and 1 set of white in the middle. And then we will come inwards using double white bands. Alright, that, we can add our body. It's going to go on the 5th peg down in the center. And we're just transferring all the bands that we have on our hook onto that peg, and I'm going to slide this under a nearby peg just so we can see what's going on here. Let's put some holding bands on the face, starting with a doubled over skin tone and a triangle formation across all of the second bands down. And we'll need one doubled over single skin tone band stretching across all of the 3rd pegs in a triangle shape. And then we can take a white for our last one, which covers the 4th pegs. For your eyes, if you're using black bands, you can take your black bands and wrap 2 black bands 3 times each onto your hook and slide onto a skin tone band. And I'll show you where that goes in a minute. If you're using beads, and you can use white beads and draw on your pupil, you can use black beads, you can pick another color of your choice, I guess. You will thread them onto a piece of skin tone band, and I'm using, again, Kate Schultz's technique. We take a thin wire or piece of floss, run it through the beads, through your band, bring it back over, and return it to whence it came. This is an indispensable trick for my figures, I have to say. It served me very, very well. And just as I say it, I start struggling with this one. And there, pinch it through, and your flosser wire should slide out. And your eyes are going to go onto your 3rd pegs down. You can separate them a little bit, and I think we're just gonna leave them where they are. Or you can pull them over the 3rd peg in the center if you want to split them up here. So we put the hook through and bring them up. You don't have to do this though, but we'll hold them in place a little bit. And our mustache we'll make to go from the 4th peg to the 4th peg. For that, we're taking 3 single bands, and we're going to take each one and wrap it onto the hook as tight as you want. 2, 4, I'm going to do it. 1, 2, 3. You could do it 3 or 4 times, it's up to you. 3 will be a little looser looking, but not bad. 2, 3, 4. And we pull these onto a single white band. And this goes from our 4th peg to our 4th peg. Okay, we need a little extension for the hair. These are the little side chains. We're almost done, guys. Take a single, wrap it 2 or 3 times, and we're going to pull it onto 7 singles. If you want it shorter, you can do 5, is fine too. And 5. We take the bands that are on the hook and put them onto the 3rd peg. Is that right? The 3rd peg down? I believe we're going to the 3rd peg. 2nd peg. Okay, 2nd peg. And grab a piece out of your next chain to put onto the peg below that. And grab a piece out of the next chain to go onto your 4th peg down on the side there. Okay, like so. We'll make one for the right side. So single wrapped 2 to 3 times. Hold on to 5 singles. I said 7, didn't I? 3, 4, 5 either length is really okay, and we can tag it down a little when we're done too. If you would like it to be longer, you can add another 2 sets, of course. Goes on the second peg down, and we grab a piece out of the next chain to go on the third peg down, and a piece of the next chain to go on to the fourth peg down. And now we are all ready to loop up. So get in underneath your neck piece, and we're gonna come up once with our top bands to the right, once to the left, and lift your mustache up over that fourth peg down because we want our next set to go right there. And we're gonna take our our beard, and place 2 of the bands onto the fourth peg on the side, 2 onto the next on the fourth peg in the center, 2 on the fourth peg on the right. So transfer your first 2, transfer your next 2, transfer your last 2, and try and hold them down as you go so they don't try and pop up or in a way. We're going to come up the side, and you're going to look for your bottom 2 bands and scoop them up and over. Find your next 2 bottommost bands, which are skin tone, bring them up and over, continue up the side, and come in once diagonally to the top. We can repeat this for the right side. Get your bottom 2 bands, and we're just going straight up bottom 2 bands only. And one more time into the middle. For our centerpiece, we need to take our mustache and pop it back down. Find your bottom 2 skin tone under that nose piece. Bring it up, push back the eye holding band, and loop up 2 more times here. Check that you have everything in place, and then you can take a single white band. Get it ready on your left finger, take your hook, open part pointed away, and press it through the bands on the top center peg. Catch your securing band and pull it through. Put the other end on the hook, pull one end over the other to create a slip knot, and we can carefully take this off of our loom. Alright, let's get those eyes popped through. You're going to take your securing band on your hook and hide it in the back. We can slide it under a couple of bands and put it onto our C-clip. I'm just going to fit it under an extra band there to be extra secure. And if you want your sort of side links here to hang down a little better, what you can do is find a place on the arm or in the beard or on the body, and we can secure it on. So if you attach it to the beard, it will kind of look like part of the beard, and that's okay. If you want to attach it to the body, you can do that, or we can do it to the arm. I'm going to put mine on the side of the body here. So you take your hook and put it through 1 or 2 bands in the section where you'd like it to sit. And then you'll go through the last 1 or 2 bands on your hair chain, your hair extension. Take a single white band, put it on the end of your hook and pull it back through everything that's on your hook otherwise. Put one end through the other because we've just put the other end on the hook. And we can hide that in the back. So that's why I said it doesn't matter too much how long you've made your hair, because we can always get it to stay down. Now, I don't like this so much because I feel like it makes it just blend in with the body. And likewise, if you stretch it to the arm, it will kind of look like it's attached to the arm. But that is an option for you if you want the hair to be straight or on the side, or you can just kind of tug it down. At any rate, there is your Saruman. And I encourage you to check out my Gandalf tutorial, my Hobbit tutorial, my Samji tutorial, whatever else. Please feel free to browse my channel. And thank you for watching.